welcome or welcome back to my channel. Real quick before we get into this video, this is not going to be a long intro, I promise. I just wanted to say that when making this, I'm going to show on my materials list that I used a finer weight yarn. So please do not try to do this with like the regular kind of chunky but not too chunky like acrylic yarn, because I feel like it'll make it come out massively big, and I highly doubt that's what any of you want to do. So don't be intimidated by using a finer yarn. I think it actually comes out really cool, and it gives you a lot of room and leeway to like play around with it. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. I hope you enjoy this tutorial. I tried my best to make it easy to follow along. If there are parts where you're confused, please ask in the comments. I will try to answer any questions that you guys have. I am a beginner at tutorial making, and I'm really not that far along in my crochet journey either, so please don't light me on fire in the comments, okay? Thank you. Enjoy. To complete this project, you will need some yarn. I used this teal yarn by Yarn Bee. It's pretty thin and it's a lightweight 3 yarn. You're also going to need a 4mm crochet hook, a darning needle, and a pair of scissors. We are going to start off this project by working on the side strap. So first make your slip knot and then make a chain of 16. Now, once you have your chain of 16, you're then going to chain an additional 3 stitches, and then in the 4th chain from your hook, you're going to put 1 double crochet. Yarn over, reach into your first stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through your first 2 loops, then yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 loops. And then from there, you're going to put 1 double crochet in each remaining stitch along your chain. So yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up a loop, then yarn over, pull through your first 2 loops, then yarn over again and pull through the next 2 loops. And you just repeat this all the way down the row. Once you reach the end of your row, you should have 16 double crochets plus that 1 chain 3 which we did, which we are not going to be accounting for moving forward. From here, we're going to be following a pattern to create a mesh stitch. So first set up for the 2nd row by chaining 1 and turning your work. And then in the very first stitch, you're going to put 1 double crochet. So yarn over, go into that very first stitch, pull up a loop, then pull through 2 of those loops, and then pull through the remaining 2. Then you are going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and then go into the following stitch with 1 double crochet. And that's going to be our pattern. So from there, you're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and then put 1 double crochet into the stitch after that. And you're just going to continue on with this repeat until you reach the end of your row. And once you get to the end of your row, you're going to find that there will only be one stitch left. That's okay, still chain one and put your last double crochet into that stitch. You should be able to go back and count 8 of your little double crochet boxes. Moving into row 3, remember that you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. This is how you're going to set yourself up for every row that you do from here on out. And now we're just going to repeat the same steps for row 3 as we did for row 2. So go ahead and put 1 double crochet into that very first stitch. Then you're going to chain 1, skip the chain 1 space and put 1 double crochet into the following stitch, which it should sit right above the previous row's double crochet. From there you would chain 1 again and just repeat these steps all the way down your row. Okay, now we've made it to the end of row 3. You should still be able to go back and count 8 double crochet boxes, and every time you head into a new row, please make sure that you chain 1 and turn your work. And now I'm just going to repeat the same steps as the previous 2 rows until I have a total of 34 rows, 33 of which should be your mesh pattern plus that first beginning row solely made up of double crochets. So I'll do this next row with you guys and then catch up with you guys after all 34 rows are done. So you put your 1 double crochet into that very first stitch, chain 1, skip the chain 1 space, put 1 double crochet into the following stitch, which once again should sit right above the previous row's double crochet, and repeat this until you reach the row's end, then chain 1 and turn your work. And then go ahead and just continue with that row repeat until you have your 34 rows. You can continue this step and make the straps longer if you wish. I just wanted my straps to be on the shorter side, but you can make them longer if you would like them to be. If you're going to stick with how I'm making mine, then after you finish your 34 rows, which should be around 15 inches long, you're then going to continue that row by crocheting an additional 42 chains. And this is where we are going to start building up the side of our cap. "42 chains later, this is what your work should look like. Then you're going to chain 3 and you're going to put 1 double crochet into the 4th chain from your hook, and then continue with our mesh pattern as usual. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet into the following stitch, and repeat that until you make it all the way down your row. I am now at my last stitch, so I'm going to finish up this last double crochet, then I'm going to chain one and turn my work. This is what your work should look like after working up that new row with the additional chains. You should be able to count 29 mesh boxes at this point. Now from here, we're going to continue working up our mesh pattern for a total of 6 rows. So we just did the first row, we have 5 more rows to go. So once again, chain one and turn your work and double crochet into the very first stitch, then chain one, skip the next stitch and double crochet into the following stitch, and just repeat this pattern across until you have 5 more rows. So I just finished my 6 rows, and this is what our do-rag is looking like. So we have one of our side straps here, and it builds up into the start of the side of the base of our cap. So from here you should be able to count up 6 rows, and each of those rows should have 29 double crochet boxes. Now for the next few rows, we will be doing some decreasing rows so that we can accommodate for the curve at the back of one's head. You should be starting off on the end without the long tail, and it is from this side that we will be doing the decreases to get that curve from the back of your head. And just so you know, all of our decreases will be happening along this edge. The end with the long tail, we want to remain straight, as this is going to be the end that goes across the front of your forehead. So hopefully that makes sense for you. Now let's continue. So for our first decreasing row, still chain one and turn your work. We're always going to do that, but now this time you're not going to double crochet into that very first stitch. We are actually going to skip that stitch and go straight into the stitch above the very next double crochet. No need to yarn over, you're just going to go straight into that stitch and pull up a loop. Then you will go straight over to the next double crochet stitch and pull up a second loop. It is from here that we can finish off our decrease by yarning over, pulling through the first 2 loops, then yarn over again and pull through the remaining 2 loops. Then you are going to chain one, and you can continue on with the mesh pattern as usual all the way down to the end of your row, and I will meet you guys once we get down there. So I made it down the other end, which this is what it is looking like at this point. You can slowly but surely see the curved edge starting to form. So now to work our way back, you're going to chain one, turn your work, and this side is our straight edge. So double crochet into the first stitch and work your mesh pattern as usual until you get towards the end of this row, and I'll show you what to do once we get down there. reaching the end of this row. So from the row below, you can see that I have 2 double crochets left and the spot where we did our first decrease. So now I'm going to put my last double crochet into that next double crochet stitch, and then I'll do another decrease by picking up a loop above the second double crochet, and then I'm going to pick up another loop by going into the hole that was created from the decrease, and then I can yarn over, pull through those 2 loops, yarn over again, and pull through the last 2 loops. Then I will chain 1 and turn my work. So that is our 2-row repeat for our decreasing rows. We already have done our first 2 rows. We're going to be repeating these 2 rows for 5 more rows. I'll do the next one with you. So skip the first stitch and the chain 1 space and go straight into the stitch above the very next double crochet and pull up a loop. Then go straight over to the next double crochet and pull up a second loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, then yarn over again and pull through the remaining 2 loops, then chain 1, and you can continue on with the mesh pattern as usual, all the way down to the end of your row. After this row, you will have 4 more decreasing rows to go. I'll meet you guys down at the end of this row. This is what your work should start to look like at this point. So continue that 2-row repeat until you can count up 13 rows from the base of your cap. We've currently done rows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 4 more rows to go. I'll meet you guys once we have all 13. Alright, I'm done with my decreasing rows. You should be able to count up these rows and they should add up to 13 rows. And as you can see, you should be ending on the side with the straight edge, not the curved side. So once you are there, you can chain 1, cut your yarn, and pull that tail through and tighten off to secure that end. From here, you're going to flip your work upside down, and we are going to start working on adding length to the one side of the back flap of your do-rag. So find that very first stitch on the edge of your curved end and attach your yarn to this point. You are going to put 1 double crochet into that same space, then chain 1, skip the next stitch, and double crochet into the following stitch. Continue with your mesh pattern as usual, and I will meet you towards the end of this row. we are not connecting this end to the side strap. So what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet into the last available stitch before you reach the side of your strap. And then chain 1. This space is going to be about where the separation for your ear will sit if you were curious. So now turn your work, and you should be able to count 20 mesh boxes in this row. And then for the next row, double crochet into the very first stitch. Then you will follow that with a chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet into the following stitch, and just repeat that same pattern that we've been doing this whole project until you reach the end of this second row. Okay, so I just finished this end, and as you can see, the point where we broke off is starting to be more apparent. So I'm just going to continue going back and forth with the previous rows repeat until I have a total of 16 rows. So I just finished working up my 16 rows. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to chain 1, cut my yarn, and then pull that end through nice and tight. One panel of our do-rag is now complete, so we're going to repeat all these steps and make the second panel of our do-rag. So just rewatch the tutorial up to this part and I'll show you what to do after you have your second panel. Once both of your panels are made, you will want to match up the ends of your panels to one another, and then take your darning needle and a long piece of yarn and hand sew along the curved edge of your panels. Okay, so I just finished hand sewing those curved edges together. Now you can flip it right side out, and it's at this point that you should really be able to see your do-rag take its shape. We have officially made it to the final stretch of this project. I'm getting really excited, but we aren't done just yet, so let's get back into it. So as you can see, the back flap of our do-rag is very short, and we want to build up the length of that a bit. So I'm going to reattach my yarn into either end of that back flap. It doesn't matter which side you start off from. Once I've reattached my yarn, I'm going to then double crochet into that same stitch, chain 1, skip the next stitch, and then double crochet into the following stitch. And I'm going to, as you guessed it, continue with my same mesh pattern, chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet into the following stitch, and just continue all the way down till I get to the end of my row. Then I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and repeat until I've reached my desired length, which for me personally turned out to be an additional 16 more rows. Okay, so from the point where I connected my two panels, I worked up 16 more rows, and this is where I want to finish off the length of my back. So now, because I started off the beginning of my strap with a row of double crochets, I'm going to end off this back flap the same way. So after I chain 1 and turn my work, I'm going to put 1 double crochet into every stitch along this row so that it'll end up matching the end of my straps. So that's 1 double crochet atop the previous row's double crochet, as well as 1 double crochet in every chain space. After that, all that's left to do is chain 1, cut and secure that end, and then just weave in all of your loose ends. Here are the final measurements I had for my do-rag, so you can compare it to what you have. It doesn't have to be spot on, but I would recommend steaming your project so everything will lie nice and flat. And you can also use this as an opportunity to stretch out your project a little bit if you want. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and found it helpful. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and please show my crochet IG page some love and follow me there as well. I'm working on posting more frequently there, so you'll be able to stay up to date with the things that I make, whether they be crocheted, knit, or sewn. Once again, I hope you liked this tutorial, and I'll see you very soon with another one. Bye guys!